to the Chronicles told by the Chronikle, cases of the missing, murdered, and unsolved. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today, and don't forget, all source information for today's case can be found in the description box below. Be sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Let's get started with Chronicle number 43, the King Kwik murders of 1985. Journey back to 1985. Reagan is in office for a second term. Route 66 was decommissioned and replaced with a more efficient way to travel via the interstate. The wreckage of the Titanic would be recovered after years of searching. And for a bit of laughter in your life, the comic Calvin and Hobbes would debut in newspapers everywhere. Florida was hit with a 2-day record cold spell that would wipe out 90% of the grapefruit and orange crops, devastating farmers everywhere. Live Aid would take place where more than 45 performers sang We Are the World. 1985 was a year of movies, treasures, and charity. It was a good time to be alive. Technology was on the brink of great things, yet kids were not yet consumed and still played outside until the streetlights came on. However, for two families, their lives would be forever changed in a way no one could imagine. Tragedy would strike and crumble their world as they knew it. Nancy J. Smith Abrams was a 33-year-old wife, mother, and one of 6 children who enjoyed spending her free time bowling, bicycling, and spending time with her family. Nancy resided at 6339 Trenton Franklin Road in Madison Township, a small area right outside of Middletown, Ohio, with her husband Greg and their 2-year-old daughter Stephanie. Nancy was described as an overall good person and excellent mom, who had no known enemies. Nancy had worked for a 24-hour convenience store, King Kwik, for 5 years. Before transferring to the Middletown store location, Nancy was a manager at the Monroe store before it closed down, and she was transferred to the Dayton, Ohio location. While working at the Dayton location, the store experienced a robbery, which left Nancy fearful it would happen again, even after she had transferred store locations. It is unknown if Nancy transferred to the Middletown location to be closer to her home, or if it was due to the robbery. Nancy worked the graveyard shift from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. alone at the Middletown location, located at 1422 South Brill Boulevard. On Sunday, March 10, 1985, Nancy arrived at the King Kwik to start her shift at midnight, as she had done many times before. Nothing seemed off about the night, and customers would come and go, making purchases and small talk with Nancy. Sometime between 4:30 a.m. and 4:45 a.m., a horrific murder would take the life of Nancy Abrams and John Francis, who was believed to be stopping in the store as it was the only one open at this hour. Some articles state he was also a regular in the store, as it was located not far from his home. John Francis was a 31-year-old press operator and owner of John's Gems, located in the 1500 block of Central Avenue. It was a discount jewelry store at the time. John resided at 1933 Fernwood Street, where his brother Gary and sister-in-law Jessica resided with him. John had been a press operator with Champion Paper for 18 years, and every night when he got off at 8 p.m., he would head over to his jewelry store to check in. John would also spend his days off at his business, making sure it ran smoothly, according to his brother Gary. On Saturday, March 9th, John was still at home at 10 p.m. when Gary and Jessica headed to bed. However, when they woke on Sunday morning, the couple saw John's car was gone. Both were puzzled, as their truck had been blocking John's vehicle and at the end of the driveway, making it very difficult for him to leave. It should be noted this was not done on purpose, it was just the way they parked that night. It is believed sometime after 10 p.m. John left his home and headed to the jewelry store for reasons unknown, and upon leaving to return home, he stopped at the King Kwik, as it was the only store open at the time. A newspaper delivery woman who left the store that morning around 4:30 a.m. remembered seeing a slender white male on a dark-colored chopper-style motorcycle. The man, according to her, was standing in a dimly lit area outside of the store. He was thought to be between 5'8" and 6 foot tall, with a dark leather jacket on and a red gym bag hanging over one of the handlebars of the motorcycle. This man is considered to be the killer by some. However, it has never been confirmed, and no one matching this description has ever come forward to say why they were there that night. A composite sketch was made of this man based on what the delivery woman saw that early morning. Just a short time later, both Nancy and John would be found murdered, execution style. It is unclear who reported the murders, but it is believed they were reported at 4:45 a.m. Sometime after the delivery woman left, shortly after 4:30 a.m., and before 4:45 a.m., the killer would enter the store. It is believed the killer then purchased a cup of coffee and a newspaper. Most question why the killer, who is believed to be a man, would do this. My theory is he knew someone else was in the store, or possibly this is when John entered the store, and the killer could have been waiting on John to make his purchase and leave. However, this is purely speculation on my part, and in no way has been confirmed. Police believe that John walked in during a robbery or during Nancy being shot, and then he was shot after Nancy. When police arrived on the scene, they found Nancy lying on her side in a pool of blood, wearing a white shirt and her blue corduroy pants. She had been shot twice in the back of the head, and her body was located in a small room behind the front counter of the store. Upon further investigation, John Francis was located near the back of the store, in a room near the freezer area, lying on his back, wearing a plaid shirt and brown pants. His brown AMC Concorde was located in the parking space near the front of the store. He had been shot one time in the back of the head. The police believe both were shot at close range and were more than likely kneeling or sitting at the time, resulting in an execution-style killing. Detectives were called in and an investigation was underway. It was found less than $100 was missing from the register, and 7 money orders had been taken. The money orders have never turned up to this day. Soda or pop bottles were collected from the scene and fingerprints were taken. In 2004, those fingerprints were ran through a system, producing no results. Police would follow many leads in this case that went nowhere. The police would have customers hypnotized in hopes they would remember seeing something that could be helpful in the case. They would even have Nancy's body exhumed. However, nothing new was discovered. As in most murder investigations, the police have to look into the spouse. At 7:30 a.m. on March 10th, police headed to Nancy's home to inform Greg his wife had been murdered. While it is unknown what the reaction of Greg had to this, it is known that in 1985 he acquired a local lawyer named Perry Ellis, who has stated he does not believe then nor now that Greg was involved in the murder. It should be noted Nancy's family and friends told police at the time that their marriage was on the rocks and headed for a divorce. While it is unknown if Greg was ever considered a suspect in his wife's murder, police have only stated that everyone is still a suspect. Some feel he could have committed the crime for various reasons, especially if they were headed for divorce. However, no charges have ever been filed against Greg. In 2004, a detective looking into the case would develop a suspect and take the information he had to the grand jury. No indictment was issued, and the prosecutor at the time said the evidence was very circumstantial. It is unknown to this day who the suspect was thought to be in the indictment. It has been 37 years without answers for 2 families whose lives changed that early March morning. The police then and now believe robbery was the motive, and the killer was more than likely not from the area, based on the location to Interstate 75. They believe someone coming forward, whether it be the killer confessing or someone who was told about that night, is the only way this case will ever be solved. As time passes, it seems less likely the families will have answers. If you were in the area of Middletown, Ohio in 1985, or if you heard something after this, please come forward with any information you have so both families can have some closure. And if you do have any information, please contact Crime Stoppers at 1-888-352-3040. I'd like to thank everyone for watching today, and don't forget to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe so I can continue helping families of the missing, murdered, and unsolved. As always, this is the Chronikle, signing off.